We're on.
All right, go.
Go. Hello, Sean Brady, here with the fabulous, the one, the only, Tabetha Sheaver.
Hey, how are you?
We're talking some awesome learning and shared experiences, and there was a book that you mentioned.
Yeah, so we were talking about the personality assessments and all those sorts of things.
With RSNRs, interview advisors.
Yeah, and so
awesome
what
stuff.
he tells me is that you love to learn things, but you don't like to learn just for the sheer learning. You want to be able to go and share it and implement it, right?
Totally.
And so I immediately started thinking about things that I have read or done or learned through different classes that I'm like, I totally need to be sharing this stuff. And I thought, what a better platform to do that on than when I'm hanging out with the illustrious Sean Brady.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today.
And here at the fabulous Kaldi's Coffee, right here in Chesterfield Valley.
Yeah.
So, there was, what was the name of the book? Millionaire?
Mentored by a Millionaire.
Mentored by a Millionaire.
Yeah, by Stephen Scott.
He's written a few books.
He has, yeah. Actually, The Richest Man That Ever Lived, which is, he was...
That's why I know him.
Yes, he was challenged by one of his mentors or
Yes,
advisors
I know the story.
to read the Psalms, I think, or Proverbs. Proverbs.
Yes.
Every day for 300 days. And he did it, and he said he found, like, all these things that changed his life and his business, and, like, he claims that's what led him to success, and...
All the things. So the reason I'm like, oh, this guy sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That was a book I gave to my buddy Chad that I stopped reading after the introduction because I'm like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to get out of this book. Read Proverbs. So that led me to taking action, and that's why I recorded the Book of Proverbs, each chapter for a chapter a day.
Yeah.
And I think what he said was, he's like, if you do a chapter a day, in correlation with a Book of Proverbs, 31 books of Proverbs, right? There's about 31 days of the month. Yeah. So if you do one a day, right? And he specifically, like this guy, Mr. Scott, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Scott, not that Mr. Scott. But what this Mr. Scott did, right? And it's fun. So, but what this Mr. Scott did, he was getting fired. He was like, he was a college graduate. He's trying to start a family. He got fired from this job.
9 jobs.
In like
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Winner. But his mentor came up to him and said, how would you like to be smarter than all the other people that fired you? Mm-hmm. Well, what are you going to say to that? All right? And so reading the Book of Proverbs, as soon as I read that, I'm like going, okay, I guess I got to go study Book of Proverbs.
Well, I just put this together, but this little thing on your head is from reading the Book of Proverbs.
There are no accidents.
While walking.
So the story about this, not my occipital ridge. It was Wednesday, so I was like reading the Book of Proverbs, and there was this one section out there, 16:8, and I'm like going, oh, this is really profound. And I'm like going, I like to read different verses, different versions of the Bible.
Yeah.
And so I'm typing it out, I'm like learning it and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is really insightful. And I have a normal walk around my neighborhood that I do, and one of the trees just over the sidewalk, but just outside my neighborhood, was a little low. And I wasn't wearing a hat. And I'm bald.
I told him it was God hitting him upside the head because there's something in there that he needed to learn. Boom.
Learn this verse.
So. I started reading.
Yes.
The Richest Man That Ever Lived.
Yeah.
Which he then talks about his other book called Mentored by a Millionaire. So I got that one too. And so here was my aha takeaway. I'm going to save you having to read the entire book.
Thank you.
You should. There's like a lot of good things.
I know. It's like, oh yeah, buy the book, but don't just read the introduction like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe do. But either way, I did buy the book. What's your biggest takeaway?
So the biggest takeaway, okay. So when we get up against something, we can't seem to get something done.
Yes.
A lot of times it's because we have some kind of a fear about it. And we've all heard, right? Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of judgment or rejection, right? There's all these different fears. So anytime you're trying to learn something new, do something new, change a habit, get something done, there's usually subconsciously something kind of going on in there, right?
Yes.
for me, it's not subconscious. Like, I'm very aware of what my fears are.
Very, very aware.
Yes. And so there's an exercise in the book where it says, write down what that fear is, and then you write down what is the worst possible thing that could happen.
Yeah, right.
And then it says, write down the best possible outcome, and then write down what the most likely outcome is. And I think I'd heard that before, but I'd always just done it in my head. And this says, like, no, write it out.
Right.
And so I did that, and it's really amazing how ridiculous it is to not do the things that you're afraid of. Because
that's so awesome.
When you look at, like, the absolute worst case scenario of what could happen, it's not usually really that bad.
Right. Usually that never comes about.
Yeah.
But what if the really great side does?
Exactly. And so it's like, you're willing to play the lottery or do it, right? Like, why would you not? And then I heard somebody else say, everything is work-outable.
Yep.
And the other big one I've heard, this wasn't from the book, but they said, what was it? It just escaped me. You have definitely been successful up till now. You know how I know? You're still alive.
You're still here.
Yeah. So
you're not pushing up daisies.
Yeah. So as long as you're still here.
Or what we say this in Landmark, right? This is what life looks like when it's working.
Oh, okay.
Because when it ain't working, or if you go down south, far south, it's an underground condo. 6 feet under. That's
I get it.
Underground condo for life or forever. Your body goes
had
under
a moment
into
there.
the ground.
Yeah, got it.
We croaked.
So that's like, I know it sounds really simple, but
you know what my favorite fear quote is?
What?
It's from Brady. Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will make your greatest fears come true. Bodhi.
Go for it anyway, right?
Yes, go for it anyway. So, I somebody else shared that same principle. I think it was in a sales training that I was through, or somebody came through and shared at Medici. But it was very similar to like, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? I think they just said, think about it though, not like embrace thinking about it, which you did, which is awesome.
I mean, maybe you, I don't know.
I like the idea of writing it out because
writing it down.
Something happens differently when you actually script stuff out.
Yeah, and
not just typing it out. And
so in the book, I don't know if they didn't like instruct us to do it this way, but I typically just write top to bottom like this. And in the book, it was outlined as a chart, and so it was like worst case, most likely, and best possible scenario. And I think that it being side by side, even like the length of them were different, and you know what I mean? So again,
like the possible outcomes, negative or positive.
Yes,
really.
And I think that like just putting them side by side, again, it wasn't like the book said specifically this is how you do it. I mean, I'm sure you could write it however you want, but for me, it was most impactful to have them side by side.
And that makes sense because in our head, how many times do we focus on the negative? Right? The negative being that's going to be the most likely outcome versus it's like when statistically speaking, there's a lot more things that can go right than possibly go wrong.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like the whole, I'm going to throw an industry under the bus, the whole insurance, life insurance sales conversation. Right?
Delve.
So what a life insurance people sell. Fear of not having enough if you leave your family behind, so get more life insurance, right? I'm not saying I think everybody should have a plan for it, but don't come from a place of fear. It's like going, oh my gosh, that's right, if I go away, what's going to happen? It's like, I got to buy more insurance. But in reality, it's not life insurance, it's death insurance, because it doesn't pay out until you die. Now, that's why they have actuaries, and somebody figures out all the math that, statistically speaking, I can guarantee you that we're all going to go.
Really?
Yes! Do I know when?
You're
no!
So insightful, Sean Brady.
But that's what they have these actuaries for, right? But putting that fear of loss.
Yeah.
Of, well, what if this doesn't happen? What, who's going to take care of your kids or your house payment or, what if you become disabled? Make sure you got to get the disability insurance.
So fear, uncertainty, and doubt
Yes.
are very good motivators.
Yes.
But they're only away motivators. So
Away motivators?
Away motivators.
Like
So,
AWAY?
Yeah.
Versus A.
Towards versus
Way.
towards.
Okay.
So here's what I mean by this. The best scenario or example to give you is weight loss. You will move away from the pain. You will move away from the pain of being overweight, right? The pain of the judgment, the pain of not feeling good, right? That's enough to get you motivated. And
Right.
actually, away motivators will drive you to action quicker. Like, they'll inspire you more to move away from the pain. But as soon as you're far enough away from the pain,
Yes.
you stop and you're trying to go back to your old ways.
Hence the yo-yo effect.
Yep. So what you have to do is you can start with fear, uncertainty, and doubt in order to inspire, motivate, and jumpstart to be an interruption.
But realize that's a jump start to turn the engine on. So then what do you have to do to keep the engine going?
You turn it to a towards motivator, and towards motivators are more intrinsic and tend to be more positive. So feeling healthy, having more energy, right? All of the positive, like living for my kids and being able to do more fun things with my kids and things that really like you internalize and motivate you.
I wonder so I'm thinking about my wife, Michelle, right? Because she's been doing she did the 21-day fix or whatever it was, and then now she took on the intense, crazy 80-day intensity, insanity, whatever it's called, 80-day obsession.
I haven't heard of this, but...
Beachbody.
Okay.
But, so it's 80 days of working out, which is, if you do the math, it's 6 days a week of working out. You take Sundays off, so those 80 days don't include Sundays.
Okay.
But then you also do the whole crazy meal plan, and I say crazy because it's crazy for me because I don't live my life this way. Structured, a certain carb, vegetable, protein, snacks are all regimented, stuff that I've done before, and it's really, really hard for me to do. My wife is a high C, so it's
easy because it's compliant.
Completely compliant. So, are you going to drink anything? Nope.
Yeah.
Are you going to eat this sugar? Nope.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta have that. But that's me.
But how often? She's doing the short term.
She did the jump
but then
start.
she's trying different ones over and over again because she's not able to sustain them, or.
I think she just knows she has to have a structure in her life, right?
Whereas
so you talked about microwave and crock pot before, right? Me being the microwave is like, oh yeah, okay, let's get this done. What's the fastest thing I'm in and out?
Yeah.
She's the crock pot where she's gonna do it and she's gonna do it again and she'll do another work. She might change the workout program, but she'll make sure she's in another one before she's out of this one. She's already thinking about it. She still has like another 20 days to go.
So there's something really interesting about the number of days thing. So they say it takes 21 days to make it a habit.
Yes.
Or you've heard it's 90 days. Right. So I was
7 no's until you get a yes.
Yeah, so I went out online and tried to start understanding, like, where did that come from, and like,
where did it come
scientifically, what is the right number of days, and does it matter, and all of these sorts of things. So there is a story that I don't know, like back in the 1800s, I don't know the details. Anyway,
way back,
there was
before any of us were alive,
guy who was doing an experiment, and it was for pilots, I think. And they made them wear concave glasses every single day for 90 days.
Yes.
And, just every single day. And that they reported that the concave glasses made everything look upside down.
Oh.
And that after...
Now, what kind of pilots? I'm thinking about pilots.
I don't know.
Could have been airplane pilots, so like ship captain pilots? Ship pilots?
Approximately 90 days, people started reporting that instead of seeing the images upside down, that their brain actually had rewired and flipped. So that is where
so they could look through
the story came from. Ah. Yes, but further research indicates that is pretty much made up.
Isn't it all made up?
Yeah, and so there's only been a few studies, but they say that to actually make a change and to actually adopt it takes anywhere from 66 days to 218 days.
Well, that's a little different than 90.
Yeah.
So wait, 218, that's more than double.
Yeah.
That's like 250% right there.
So I'm sure it has to do with the fact that there's different people and what the change is and their readiness and willingness
Sure.
to change and how many other changes there,
Yeah.
And so, again, like understanding people, understanding the impact of change, how many changes are coming, like all of those sorts of things come together to go, all right, when people are like, how many days is it going to take us to do this? Well, there's a lot of factors there.
So in your research that you did, so that's awesome. So is there a more optimal number? Because I don't want to do no 218 days, even though I know I probably
should. I would say
Should
average, like most of the time, it's 90.
Okay.
So that's just
and that's where it came with 90 days to done.
90 days to done.
I love it. Now what is 90 days to done?
So 90.
Or should this be another video?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
We're
going to stop, change, start there.
That's
So
cool.
if you're seeing this
I don't
out there,
wanna promote things.
what?
I just want to teach people stuff.
I'm the hypermotor.
I know.
All right. Sean and Tabetha, we'll see you in just a bit.
Bye.
And for those listening on social media, we'll see you on social media. We got the applause. This is still recording right now. Yes.
Can you edit it?